Welcome to today's channel. Israeli army is entering enemy base. 636th Combat Unit detected enemy leader in southern Gaza. The Air Force continues to safely expand the 98th Brigade's corridor by neutralizing dozens of targets in K-Yunis. Overnight Brigade's corridor continues to expand safely. Israel Defense Forces made a last-minute statement in the evening that the 636th Combat Intelligence Gathering Unit of the Border Defense Units detected that a group of Hamas agents armed with RPGs were preparing to attack the Israeli army in the northern Gaza Strip. The Israeli army neutralized the unit a few days ago. The Israeli Defense Forces announced that it neutralized two senior officials from Hamas's intelligence department in an airstrike on Gaza, and that one of the officials, Aziz Rantis, was in charge of Hamas observation capabilities and was involved in major attack planning, followed by a senior agent in the observation array in the Al Qarara battalion, which was a heavy blow to armors. As the most up-to-date development of this day, the Israeli Defense Forces, which started to be shared in the global broadcasting organs and based on the statement made by the Israeli Defense Forces, shared as the last minute that the Israeli army detained dozens of Hamas militants while advancing to South Gaza. The Israeli army is close to victory, but there is still some work to be done. Our team is working for you 24 hours a day. We search for the latest updates and want to keep you informed. Let's get started to launch their assault operation. The Israel Defense Forces IDF sent ground, naval and air forces into Gaza today. The Israeli army launched a massive offense operation in two directions of the Strip as its ground forces advanced towards southern Gaza on Sunday and Monday. There have been rumors of Israeli tanks and soldiers operating in the Gaza Valley, which roughly divides the Gaza Strip into North and South. Israel has been urging civilians to leave the area south of this spot since the war broke out. Before the ceasefire, Israeli ground forces had captured several towns and cities such as Satan, Jabalia, Al-Shati, Hanan and Bat Lahia. The IDF's Air Force upheld this supremacy. The Israel Defense Forces spokesperson announced the expansion of the country's ground operation to include all besieged areas in the Gaza Strip. The IDF is reportedly continuing to expand its ground operation against Hamas centers. This information comes from Daniel Hagari. The Israeli army has recently begun targeting all T-tunnels in the Gaza Strip in an effort to destroy Hamas infrastructure. Israeli forces intensified their aerial bombardment and then launched a ground invasion in southern Gaza the following day. The Israeli Defense Forces claim to have struck over 200 terror sites in Gaza controlled by Hamas. According to the Israeli Defense Forces, a school and a military warehouse were among the terrorist infrastructure targets in the Hanan community. The Israelis have only found approximately 8,800 tunnels so far, even though they acknowledge that the network is far broader. Therefore, the IDF is employing ground assault soldiers, aviation and naval forces directly to destroy Hamas's underground tunnels. The IDF has refocused its efforts on the subterranean passages. The tunnels reportedly extend for 500 kilometers. Hamas has fewer underground hiding spaces now that the IDF has discovered and destroyed one-third of its length. The Gaza metro and underground infrastructure continues to pose a threat to the Israeli army. The Israeli Defense Forces IDF reported that Israeli fighter jets bombed a huge area in the southern portion of the area, targeting roughly 50 targets in communist territory. In recent days, the Israeli Navy has increased its pressure in this area, targeting the shafts of Hamas subterranean tunnels and the connecting parts of these routes on the southern borders of the Strip. This comes as the IDF Air Force has increased its attention to southern Gaza. The Israeli military, meanwhile, has come up with a perilous but effective strategy to force Hamas to abandon the tunnels. According to Monday's report, the Israeli military plans to pump water from the Mediterranean Sea to fill Hamas's tunnel system in the Gaza Strip in order to eliminate the terror group's underground network of tunnels and hiding places. It is necessary to bring its fighters above ground. US officials have reported that last month, near the Al Shanti refugee camp in Gaza City, the Israeli Defense Forces set up 5 large water pumps. If these pumps were to pump thousands of cubic meters of water, the tunnels could be inundated within weeks. Authorities said that Israel informed the US about the scheme last month, but that they have not yet determined whether or not to carry it out. Releasing all of the CCVES abducted by Hamas and other Palestinian terror groups during the attack on October 7 in southern Israel is uncertain. Israel remained uncertain as to whether the IDF would flood the tunnels first, given the clear danger to the hostages trapped beneath. According to the story, while some Biden administration officials voiced concerns about Israel's tactics, others rallied behind Israel's determination to destroy the tunnels. In the absence of American opposition, soil and groundwater in Gaza might be harmed and building foundations could be affected if toxic materials and salt water leaked from the tunnels. Because no one has ever set foot in the tunnels before, there is no way to know how well the pumping will work because of how unfamiliar the tunnels in landscape are. The lack of prior experience with the tunnels makes it difficult to forecast the flow of seawater through them, which in turn makes success or failure difficult to forecast. The Egyptian army filled in a number of smuggling tunnels beneath the Gaza Strip's southern border in 2015. Soldiers in the Gaza Strip announced on Sunday that they had discovered and demolished approximately 500 tunnel shafts out of the more than 800 found since the start of ground operations against Hamas in late October. According to the army, not only were the shafts demolished but hundreds of kilometers of tunnels as well. Israel soldiers reportedly found weaponry belonging to Hamas in some of the tunnels. Military forces found the water in residential areas with numerous schools, mosques and playgrounds in the vicinity. Organizations backed by Iran attacked numerous commercial ships in the Red over the weekend, increasing regional tensions and necessitating intervention by the U.S. Navy. The ceasefire between Israel and Hamas broke down on Friday. Pentagon Deputy Press Secretary Sabrina Singh acknowledged that the USS Carney and Navy destroyers shot down 3 Iranian-made drones for consecutive missile assaults from Yemen on Sunday, reportedly damaged 3 cargo ships lasting more than 7 hours. Reports indicate that no employees were injured. The attacks put international trade and maritime security at risk, according to a CENTCOM news release. As a result, Iran may be solely responsible for the rational attribution of the Houthi attacks in Yemen. The US will carefully consider all suitable replies after consulting with its worldwide partners and allies after what appears to be an escalating confrontation between Israel and Hamas. The United States and its allies are in discussions to establish a naval task force to protect ships in the Red Sea. Iranian-backed proxies attacked numerous merchant vessels, prompting this response. These kinds of patrols or escorts might be the right response to ship targeting in the area, according to Jake Sullivan, President Biden's national security advisor, who said on Monday. Jake Sullivan, President Biden's national security advisor, stated that similar task teams have been active in the Gulf, where Iranian Navy forces have occasionally used force against other ships, and off the coast of Somalia, where pirates have targeted private vessels. According to Mr. Sullivan, who was speaking to reporters at the White House, we are in talks with other nations about forming some sort of maritime task force that would include ships from partner countries as well as the United States to ensure the safe passage of ships through the Red Sea. We are currently actively engaged in these discussions as part of a larger response to what we see. It makes sense, but I don't have anything official to offer. During the attack on Sunday, a US Navy destroyer shot down 3 drones while targeting several cargo ships for hours. Mr. Sullivan made remarks the day following the incident. Mr. Sullivan went on to assert that the attacks were entirely the fault of Iran, the Houthis, patron of the Houthis. He said they are the ones with their fingers on the trigger. This weaponry, in the end, we will hold Iran responsible, as they are the ones who supplied the weapons used here. After discussing the matter with its allies, the United States would take the required steps at our convenience, as stated by Mr. Sullivan. Simply put, the United States and Israel are doing all in their power to ensure the safety of the Middle East and forestall any terrorist attacks perpetrated by Iranian proxies. Thanks for looking into US. Subscribing to our channel and clicking the super thanks button below will keep you posted on our team's newest videos, which include breaking news and unique reporting on the Israeli war and other Middle Eastern conflicts. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.